Hello everyone and welcome to another Halu Sees It review. Today I am reviewing Deadlines. This is a very fun, simple card game in which you are trying to sort famous individuals, Pablo Picasso, Dr. Seuss, Betsy Ross, Alfred Hitchcock, Bob Marley, and you are all trying to sort them and place them in a timeline, if you will, in these different categories. You can either base it off of their date of birth, or their lifespan, or their date of death. It's a very simple game. You may be familiar with some other timeline type games where you are doing something similar. Usually it's just one timeline though, and you are trying to, there's like an invention one, for example, and you have to figure out, okay, when was the light bulb invented? Well, it was, after fire and before the computers, right? And if you successfully sort that, you get to get rid of that card, if you will. This has a very similar vibe here, right? But it's based off of birth dates, death dates, and lifespan. Also, there's an element of cause of death. And so when you get into this game, it's really fun. You can play this 1 to 10 players, it suggests on the box. Playing this with 10 players, I think it could still be fun. I think that might be a little bit much. There might be, depending on how you play it, right? So there's different variants. We'll get to that in the rule book. And so it definitely is something that you could play with a larger group. So we'll talk about that. It's very quick, 20 minutes. There's different ways, suggestions on how you can shorten the game and different things. We'll talk about that. Ages 12 and up. The game is very, very simple. The biggest thing here that you need to know for age group range is number one, it's talking about death, right? So there is bonuses that you can, if you correctly guess some of these black cards, all the cards have cause of death along the bottom. So you'll see here, this is a normal one for Alfred Hitchcock. And it says cause of death, died in his sleep due to renal failure. Then we have John McAfee here. And he is, cause of death was committed suicide in his prison cell. So that is one of the, as far as the age group, the gameplay is very, very simple. It's this 12 and up is really more for the mature themes that can come up with how these people died, as well as you have to think about the fact that these games are these characters, these famous people, a lot of the younger age group is probably not going to know a lot of the people, right? So it will be a lot of guessing for them. So that's something to keep in mind, and I think that's some of the biggest things as far as the age goes with this game. But as far as the game itself, the packaging's great. I like the artwork here. Everything works out well. The box here this works really well, where we can fit all the cards in here, fit really well. Easily can pull them out as well from the box. So I think the packaging is done really well. As far as the rule set, again, very simple game. They have the rules and everything explained in here well, though. And they also have the game variations, which we'll talk about here in a second. But the basic gameplay here is on your turn, you get to choose one of the characters. The setup, you're just going to shuffle all these cards. There's these 3 category cards that will remain out. You shuffle the cards, you take the top card, flip them over for each to have one person per category. And then on your turn, you simply get to choose one of the characters here. And we can choose Betsy Ross, for example. And we can say, hey, Betsy Ross, and it does have kind of a what were they famous for, or some sort of clue here to who that individual was, right? So Betsy Ross, patriotic icon who sewed the first United States flag. So I can look at this and I can say, okay, I can choose to sort by her date of birth, how old she was when she died, or the date of death. Now, you start out with just one card currently, right? So it's pretty simple here. I'm going to go for date of birth and say, hey, Betsy Ross was definitely born before Bob Marley. Get that? If I flip that over, 1752 definitely happened before 1945. So that is correct. That remains in play. Now, if I were to choose, and it would go to the next person. The game's going to continue like this until the original game, or the original game here is that you play until you have 12 cards in each of the categories. As the categories fill up, you're going to, once this has 12, you're going to you can kind of stack those cards and you'll flip that over. You can no longer add any more cards to the date of birth. You now need to choose to sort any of these cards by the lifespan or date of death. And so you go until you fill up all of those, and then whoever has the least amount of cards in front of them from mistakes is going to be the winner, because that's what happens if you make a mistake. I take Dr. Seuss here and say, hey, Dr. Seuss, the Cat in the Hat writer and illustrator, is going to, if I were to sort this incorrectly as an example, I would place it here and think, okay, Dr. Seuss, I don't think was actually older than 80 when he passed away, but I am going to put it here as an example. And of course he was older. That's interesting. All right. So let's say I did it this way. Wow, I didn't expect that. So if I chose Dr. Seuss and I think he was younger, I would flip it over. That would be incorrect because it would need to be younger to be here. So that's incorrect. This would come back to me and stay face up in front of me as a reminder or point, negative point, however you want to call it, against me of, hey, I got that incorrect. There are some special cards. So all the cards have the cause of death on them. For example, this Alfred Hitchcock died in his sleep due to renal failure. But some of them, like the John McAfee here, has the cause of death. It has a black card, and there's some special orange words here. So with those, you are looking to see if you can match or state the cause of death for that individual. For example, we can do this with Abraham Lincoln. So if I take Abraham Lincoln from one of the stacks there, I can decide, hey, look, the date of death is definitely going to be before 2021. Pretty confident with that. So I'm not going to get a penalty. But if I correctly guess this and guess the cause of death, I get a special bonus. So I would state, hey, look, Abraham Lincoln was shot at the theater and assassinated. Then we flip it over. The individual to my right would check and see, did I mention any of the orange words? If you mention at least one of the orange words, you would get a special bonus. So that is correct. I got the bonus. The bonus is that if you have any cards, character cards in front of you, you're able to discard one of those and get rid of it. Or if you did not have any cards in front of you, you've been playing really well, you can choose to take one of these cards, maybe even this one, so that others wouldn't get that black opportunity. Well, there's another one, and give it to someone else, basically as a penalty. And that's really the game. And so you just take turns, keep going back and forth. And it's quite fun. I really do enjoy it a lot. The interesting element of sometimes, date of birth and date of death sometimes feels more similar, whereas lifespan, it's kind of like, well, I'm really not sure on the time frame, but I can maybe have a better guess at how old they were when they passed away. So I like that you have different categories that you're sorting them by. So I like that. The game also provides some game variants. So originally you play until you have 12 in each column and then close those off. You can play a short life and play it so you only have 8 cards. That keeps it a bit of a quicker game. You can play dead end, and so players can only place character cards in the column that they're under. So originally, you can pick Pablo Picasso here, and I can put him in any of these. Whereas in the dead end, you have to choose the person and then have to sort that person in that specific category. So that changes it up a little bit. You also can do a death match, which is kind of fun. It keeps it very quick, and instead of based on filling up these columns, you actually play until someone gets 3 penalty cards. As soon as they get 3 penalty cards, they are eliminated. And you just keep going until you have the last person standing. You also have Till Death Do Us Part. So this is basically co-op or solo. The basic idea is that you want to complete your 3 columns. You want to fill up each column with 12 cards before you get 3 penalties. So again, that would be what I would suggest for larger groups where this game says, hey, 1 to 10 players. I would suggest kind of that co-op mode. If you were to play just multiplayer with 10 players, it's going to be a long time before someone else is pulling in another character or their turn comes around. But if you do it as a group, I think that could be fun. Or you do it in like teams or something like that. So there's a lot of possibility there. But it's a really fun game. I think it's an excellent, as far as the quality of the components and everything. Card quality is great. And there's a lot of characters, a lot of different people here. 204 character cards. The biggest thing here to keep in mind, again, with getting back to that age range and who you'd want to play with, 12 and up, I think that's pretty reasonable. But you just have to keep in mind that you're talking about how people died, whether that be drug overdose, cancer, suicide, assassinations. So, be aware that those mature themes are there. And obviously, if people are not very familiar with a lot of these different folks, whether they be actors or people who again, from older time frames. Obviously, there are a lot of, I don't know about a lot, but there are people who are in the more current time frame of things. But as far as being able to do well in this game, obviously, I don't know all of the people in this game either. But definitely there's going to be something with like an age range of what makes sense. So the other element of this, right, is that there will be a little bit less replayability with the game, considering if you play this frequently or play it a lot, right, you're going to get to know more and more about these individuals or remember their time frames of when they lived, how old they were, their cause of death specifically. I think something that you could do is you could, again, just not play with the bonus if you played it a lot. But people, there's a lot of different people and character cards in here. So, there's going to be a big variation of the characters out there. So I think there still is a good, decent amount of replayability. But if people have really good memories and you play it a lot, you might be like, yeah, I think we've really enjoyed this game, but I think it's maybe time to put that away, and maybe you pull it out a few years later and have fun with it again, or pass it on to some other folks so that they can enjoy it as well. But I really think I love these types of games. I love the timeline games out there. Again, very educational, help kind of give an idea of when people lived, this specific version. And so very, very fun. Great one to play, I think, around, the Day of the Dead as we did. I think it's really cool opportunity to kind of reminisce about these people who have come before us and who have passed on. So very, very fun. That is Deadlines by Fox Mind Games. Thanks for watching. That is how Lou sees it.